In the spring of 2016, I was gripped by the words of Isaiah 61. It is a prophecy about how Jesus would come to bring good news to the spiritually poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, and to set the captive free. Jesus restores. And as I kept reading, I was struck by the words that described God's people. It said, "They will be planted as oaks of righteousness, that he may be glorified, and that broken cities may be restored." And with that passage in mind, we planted our lives in the city of Cincinnati. And what God has done since the summer of 2016 could only be attributed to his grace. From our little living room on Ward Street to 20th Century Theater to John P. Parker Elementary and now 5825 Islington Avenue, God has been faithful to bring restoration in us and through us. Lives have been eternally changed. Former strangers have become a church family, and the fingerprints of God have been forever impressed upon the city we call home. Again and again, the story of the Oaks is steps of faith met with the kindness, faithfulness, and power of God. And I believe that the last 3 years of what God has done in and through our church is just the beginning. Now is one of those moments that I believe God is calling us to take a step of faith, believing that God's past faithfulness is the greatest indicator of his future faithfulness. So let's link arms and move forward to plant roots in this city. Oaks Church, let's pray boldly, live missionally, and sacrifice financially so that more people would experience restoration through the gospel in the city of Cincinnati and the world.
So we came to the Oaks in a pretty interesting way. I own a painting company, and I met Jimmy because I had painted his house. He had moved here from Louisville, and I got the pleasure of knowing him through work before I knew him through faith. And he kind of brought me to faith, and that's something I really love about the Oaks. They just are so Christ-centered and bring newcomers in with open arms.
I had been driving down Madison Road to physical therapy all summer and saw the yard sign that said the Oaks Church meeting at John P. Parker School. And David was out of town, but I decided to give it a try that weekend and loved it. And when he came home, I said, "Honey, we need to try the Oaks." And we came back, and we've been there ever since.
So we first heard about the Oaks way back when it was first starting. We met Terry Lee through a church we were going to at the time in North Carolina, the Summit Church. And right off the bat, we could tell God just had awesome plans for him.
Yeah, and I actually got to be good friends with Jimmy's wife, Caitlin, and she discipled me, and I also came to faith. It was about 3 years ago since we got baptized, which was super exciting, and the Oaks has really just been a really great support group through growing in faith, through trying times such as COVID, and really ever since we just stepped foot in there the first time, we really felt at home. Everybody, welcomed us with open arms.
So for me, I felt the warmth of the congregation. I was really impressed by the young people that were in the Oaks and their love for God, their love for each other. And then hearing Terry Lee and Jimmy preach, I was really impressed. It was a biblical focused church that would teach through the Bible each week, and I think that's awesome, and we were excited to be part of that.
Yeah, and people definitely thought we were crazy because we didn't know anybody, we didn't have jobs, we'd only met Terry Lee like a couple of times and had heard like a few sermons that were posted on the Oaks website. And so people thought we were crazy, but we just felt like this was where we were supposed to be, and it all just made sense to us.
So the Oaks has had a really positive impact on not only my life, our life together as a family. I think, different from how I had grown up, the Oaks has really taught me how to live a Christian life fully, not just on Sunday, but rather how to have that church family community, how to keep the Lord top of mind, how to live it out.
Yeah, and for me, I feel like I've grown in just being way more intentional about how I spend my days. So before, I feel like I was just kind of like floating around doing whatever I wanted, but since becoming a member of the Oaks, I feel like everything I do, I think, is this like, how can I be missional in this situation, in this workplace, in this neighborhood?
It's tough being a new Christian in this world, and I think that's one thing that the Oaks really did a good job of, is they provided things that allowed you to grow in your faith, such as discipleship or MCs, or just being able to contact any of the pastors or any of the elders for any problems or solutions that you may need for some difficulties that you're going through in your life. So, one thing that I really did was, I met with Jimmy once a week for a long time, and he kind of discipled me through the Bible and kind of really made me feel what it was like to walk as a Christian and really just know what it's like to have a relationship with God.
I love being with all the different women at the Oaks and being one of the older women, or close to the oldest. It's been great to be able to mentor and be in relationship with all the younger women there, have coffee, and just encourage one another and spur each other on in our faith.
From the small day-to-day decisions to bigger things like where we're going to live, I feel like our time at the Oaks has caused us to think more with an eternal perspective.
Yeah, 2020's been an interesting year for all of us, but one of the things that's happened with the Oaks is this building thing has come on our laps, and it's very, very exciting to consider and to play out the possibility of having a building, and obviously it would explode the opportunity for ministry, the ability to invite people in, not just on Sundays, but anytime during the week when there's events, when there's teaching. It would just be much more comfortable in a place that's our own. So we can really invest in that. It's no different than a family when you buy your first house. It's what you've dreamed about. It's your house, and you can invite friends and family, fellowship there, and give it to the Lord.
So I think it's really important for the Oaks to have a building. I mean, it feels like the right time. And, us getting a brick and mortar building within the city, that structure just really reflects how solid the church is as a structure and as a family unit. And it also just shows that we're here to stay.
I just think it's going to be really cool seeing where the Oaks started and just hearing Terry Lee at the very first time we met him in North Carolina in a room with like 6 people, just hearing about this church and hearing about his vision for it and just how passionate he was about it. And then just to see us in a building in this place that Terry Lee was just like so passionate about is just going to be super awesome and like just a really cool full circle moment.
I think one of the main reasons why I'm so excited to have a building for the Oaks is because of the opportunities that it provides, the way that it can be our home base, our mission center, to where from there we can kind of dilute or disperse ourselves throughout the city of Cincinnati to make sure that we can reach as much as we possibly can.
The thing that excites me the most about the Roots Initiative and the possibility of having a physical building to meet in that's ours is just being able to use it every day of the week and meet there with women and have classes and Bible studies and not always having to look for someplace else to go, and to have people come in from the neighborhood and that you can invite people to. I just think it would be great.